and welcome to this bartender friendly yoga challenge for the month of January. The purpose of this video is to move you through really simple sequencing that's totally easy enough for you to do, but to give you a bunch of options along the way and variations so that you can make it more challenging the next time, more challenging the time after that if you so choose. So this way, I call it a grow at your own pace structure because you can choose the more relaxing variation if you prefer that day, if that's what makes sense in your body. And as you start to build strength and you're building flexibility, you can choose a different option the next time, again, like I said. And that way it's just making it, a little bit more intense or going a little bit deeper, holding a little bit longer, for example. And you can sort of play with what feels right to you anytime you practice this. So this is the one video for the whole month of January, your yoga challenge, to move you into fish pose. Fish pose is a big heart opener, chest opener, which spiritually that keeps you open and ready to receive so that you can receive the manifestations of everything you've been working on, so that you can receive good news, so that you can receive bigger tips, better money at work. That's what we all want, right? But at the same time, this is also going to be really, really healing for your neck, your shoulders, your upper back, all those muscles that we use, we're bending down all night at work. This is going to help you reverse that, keep some openness here, so that not only are you having this energetic openness, you're ready to receive, tips are flowing in, but you also just have this balance from within too. You have openness in your mind, more flexibility in your mind too, so you can see more possibilities. Things just become easier in so many different ways that I can't lay out to you in just one 30-minute video, but you'll start to see things falling into place later on. And I would encourage you to come back to this video and let me know what manifestations come through for you as a result. So without further ado, let's get started. All you're going to need is a place that's big enough for you to lay all the way down flat on your back. I'm using a yoga mat with a towel on top of it, but if you don't have a yoga mat, don't worry about it. You can totally just lay on your carpet if that's comfortable and clean enough for you, or you could put a blanket down, whatever. You will need one prop though. I'm using this yoga blanket that I folded up into this rectangle shape because I'm going to use it as like a pillow. Eventually what we'll do is we'll lay it at the back of the mat, and you're going to lay, or not a mat per se, but the back of your space. You're going to lay onto it so you just have just this little bit of lift and this opening through your chest, a little bit of a back bend. So we'll use that later. If you need to, pause the video so that you can grab something. A pillow works just fine for this. Towels work just fine for this too. You want it to be a couple of inches thick, nothing too crazy. So make sure you have that ready, kind of set that to the side, and let's get started. So we'll begin in a cross-legged position, whichever way is the most comfortable for you. Or if you prefer to be kneeling, that's totally fine as well. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and let it out through your mouth. Almost like you're sighing it away. Letting all the worries, all the stress, all your to-do lists from earlier start to just wash away. So keep that breath going, inhaling through your nose. Holding it for a moment before you sigh it out. Continuing to breathe fully and deeply. We use these first few moments of class to come into the present moment and turn your focus into your body. What's going on with you? How do you feel? Physically or emotionally? Maybe you start to notice where there's tension in your body. Perhaps it's the neck and shoulders, the upper back region like I talked about, but maybe for you it's somewhere else. Notice if you're clenching your belly or holding yourself in. Use your breath to encourage you to let that go. Relax into this seat. 3 more full rounds of breath here with the eyes closed, neutral spine. Inhales come through the nose, fill up your chest and your belly. And exhales escape through the lips. Fluttering your eyes open when you feel like those breaths have been completed. And you'll stick with those same full breaths, but start to switch it so that it's in through the nose and out through the nose. We'll take a deep breath in here and then turn your head as far as you can to the right side of your space, over that right shoulder. As though maybe there's someone sitting there and you're just looking at them. Like, what'd you just say? Take another deep breath here. And exhale. And keeping the head turned, you're going to tuck the chin. So now you're looking down at maybe your right elbow crease or your right hip. Notice how that changes the stretch. You feel a sensation somewhere else in the neck, maybe a little bit into your left shoulder or even into the upper back here. And breathe. Lifting the chin back up to neutral, still turned to the right side. Now we're going to look up. So you're sort of looking up towards the ceiling. Be careful not to lean back. Try and keep yourself nice and neutral, shoulders stacked over the hips here. It's a little bit awkward, a little uncomfortable. Maybe stick with this for 2 more full breaths in through the nose. Exhale with an HM sound like One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Bringing the chin back down and turn to the center. Pausing here, take a couple of breaths. Notice how that felt. Maybe a couple of shoulder rolls would feel nice. Inhaling the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale, roll them down and back. Just to sort of gently shake that out. And as you feel ready, we'll switch to the other side. So coming back to neutral and turning the head to the left over your left shoulder. Again, as though someone's sitting right there, you're looking directly at them. Take a few full breaths here. Really feel that stretch along the right side of the neck. And notice if it's a little bit different on this side than it was on the first side. One more full round of breath. And dropping the head. So you're still looking to the left, but now you can see the left elbow crease or the left hip. Be very gentle with your neck here, especially if you do tend to hold a lot of tension there in the first place, or if you're doing this just after waking up and things are still feeling a little stiff. Just be gentle, send lots of deep breaths, and do your best not to overexert. You're not going for the most sensational stretch ever. Keep it gentle. And lifting the chin back to center. Pausing here for a moment before you lift all the way up. So you're looking up towards the ceiling or towards the sky. Allowing that to feel a little bit awkward. Noticing if you started turning your chest that direction, try and keep the shoulders square and stacked over the hips. One more full inhale. Chin comes back down to center. And turn your head forwards. Nice. Now we'll take some shoulder rolls together. Inhale, roll up, and exhale, roll down. 2 more. Reaching your arms out to the sides. Kind of wiggle the fingers a little bit. Get some energy flowing through the arms. You're going to bend at your elbows, bring your fingertips to the back of your head. So your fingertips are sort of right in that space that's connecting the skull to the neck. The thumbs are free, kind of hanging out at the bottom. You're going to use your fingertips very gently to imagine that you could pull your skull up off of your neck a little bit and relieve some of the weight bearingness. Give your neck a little bit of a break from holding your giant skull all day. With this, stay here just sitting up straight and pulling if this feels like enough. To take it a little bit further, you can hinge at the hips a little bit so that you're leaning a little forward, and then you're still pulling, but you're kind of pulling up and out. Remember, just be super gentle. You don't need to like muscle your way through this. A little bit goes a really long way with these kinds of stretches. Give it 3 more full breaths. And coming back to center, releasing the arms out to the sides. And this time you're going to bend the elbows, but your hands are going to come down and behind your back. Now you can totally stay here with one hand kind of stacked on top of the other behind your back, maybe kind of at the low, like right where your hips begin. Stay here and play with opening, pulling the elbows back behind you. Feel this opening across the chest, or perhaps you're really feeling it in the tops of your arms. Lean into that stretch if that's feeling really good. Take it a step further. You can start to reach for opposite elbows behind your back, and then as you're holding the opposite elbows, you're sort of pressing them down. Think about bringing the crown of your head up towards the ceiling and continuing to find length through the neck. One step further, one step deeper into this, clasp your hands behind you and start to lengthen those elbows. Maybe your fingertips start to touch the floor behind you. Mine are. I have super long arms. And then if it feels okay, you can start to lean forwards, keeping those elbows nice and straight. You could also start to lift the arms. We're here for 3 breaths, whichever variation you choose. Close your eyes for a moment. Decide, before we continue on, what is your intention for this practice? Maybe it's just to stay open. I'm open to the wisdom that comes through this session so that I can stay open and ready to receive my miracles. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's to relax. But maybe it's genuinely to challenge yourself. If that's the case, make sure you're choosing the right variations as you go along. Now start to release. Coming back to center, you're going to reach your arms out to the sides again. Take some circles with the wrists, kind of shake that out. This is one of my favorite stretches to do for bartenders. Start curling your fingers up so that you're breaking the wrist there, and then pointing the fingers down. So curling the fingers into a fist, and then stretching, get that stretch through the wrists and forearms, and then open your fingers all the way up, and you're going to kind of point them down. It's interesting how it's stretching the same part of you, but in kind of different ways. Now, pointing the hands down, so that your hands are parallel to the floor. Really, really reach, reach, reach. Imagine your hands are reaching away from each other, like as strongly as possible. Keep that reaching motion, and then flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Notice how that changes the sensation too, even if just slightly. You really want to get this well-rounded stretch everywhere. Open everything up. Take a deep breath, reach your arms up. And exhale, hands come down to your sides. One more time. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Big breath in and big breath out. Bringing the arms to the sides. Palms face down. You're going to start to just reach from side to side. We do this all the time, yeah? Let me get that for you. Let me grab this. Yeah, here's your check. Whatever it may be. Reach, reach, reach. Feel a nice gentle stretch in the side body here. And the next time you reach to the right, stay there. Plant that right hand down. Reach the left arm up over your head. Maybe you take a gentle bend in that right elbow and you have this full side body stretch. Turn your head so you're looking up towards that top hand. Don't worry about it if it's feeling a little sticky in the neck. You can also turn the head down so you're looking at the hand that's on the mat instead. 2 big breaths. I am open to receive my blessings. I am open to co-create my reality. That's a big one. Keeping the heart open, not just so that you can take, but so that you can be part of this give and take that needs to happen in order for the balance and the harmony to exist for you. Now bend your top elbow, bring the fingers to the side of your head. So your left finger's right ear, okay? You're gonna turn your head up so you're looking at that top elbow. Push off of the right hand, coming up to center. You're gonna gently pull the head down. Now you're looking at that left hip, just like we did earlier, but now you have the added tool of this top hand pulling, creating even more length, pulling the skull away from the neck. Rather than pulling down, you want to think about pulling up and out. We're creating space, getting rid of tension here. That right hand can stay out to the side. If that feels a little intense though, you can totally just bring that hand into your lap and breathe. One more full breath. Lifting the head up to center, turning back to the middle. We're going to stretch the arms out to the sides, and we're going to take a reach left, reach right. Next time you come to the left, we're side bending to that side now. Reaching as far as feels comfortable. Just make sure that you keep both hips flat on your mat, on your blanket, on the floor, wherever you are. If it helps you, you can keep the bend, but bring your top hand down to the opposite thigh. So right hand, right thigh, just to sort of help encourage the grounding here. So you're not like leaning over to the side. That's a different thing. We're not there yet. Breathing here. We're going to go for the next stretch on this side. So reaching that top arm up if it's not already, bringing the fingertips just by your left ear. So right fingers, left ear. Push yourself up. You're looking at that top elbow and you're going to watch it point you back down towards the right hip. And again, the fingers are at the back of the skull, kind of pulling the head away from the neck. Again, you might feel this all the way into the shoulder, into that left arm. If it ever starts to feel intense, you can release the hand from the head. Take some intensity off there. You could also bring the left hand into your lap or onto the left thigh to press that away for more grounding. And just breathe. Be gentle with yourself. As you feel ready, begin lifting up through center, reaching the arms out to the side one more time. Take some circles with the wrists here, and take a deep breath in through your nose. Scrunch up your face, squeeze the eyes shut, and then when you exhale, you're going to open your eyes, stick your tongue out for a lion's breath. Bringing the hands into the lap. You could either put the hands on your knees or you could bring them on the front leg, like that front shin, whichever. We're going to do some seated cat-cows. So inhale to lean forwards, lift your chest up. I'm not able to lean and stretch super far because I'm pregnant, but go as much as feels good to you. Just don't use my example as so I'm not setting a great example, but you're leaning forwards, lifting the chest up, arching through your back, lift the chin. So you may even feel the stretch down the throat a little bit too. We've done a lot of the front and side of the neck. Now we can open up the throat. And then on an exhale, you're going to round your back. Again, don't look to me for the example. Get as round as you can. Tuck your chin down towards your chest. You want to imagine you're creating like a little C shape, kind of curling into yourself here. Imagine your shoulder blades are pulling away from each other across your back, and your spine can move to the space behind you. Imagine that happening. So we'll alternate between both of these shapes. So inhale to lift the chest, to lift up. This is your seated cow pose. Exhale, round through the back. Seated cat pose. Take these as slowly or as quickly as feels good. Get a few more breaths. Finish this last round wherever you're at. Take one more round of breath. And then you're going to come back to neutral. Bring the hands behind your back and uncross your legs. So the soles of your feet come flat to the floor. Position the hands as far away from you as you need so that you feel supported. And you don't feel like you're sinking into the shoulders or sinking into the lower back. But instead you can stand upright, kind of like on top of yourself, right? We're going to take some windshield wipers with the knees. So just dropping both knees to one side and then the other. Again, you can do this as quickly or as slowly as feels good in your body today that you're doing this video. Perhaps next time you take some longer pauses on one side, whatever, stick with your intention. If you're wanting this to feel really restful and ooey gooey, take it super slow, chill, do your thing. If you're wanting this to be more of a challenge, you could maybe even play with lifting the feet up, dropping them, lifting them, dropping them to make this more of a core exercise. But again, what am I here for today? What do I need? Take that and only that, right? So the next time your knees drop to the right, you're going to leave them there and turn your body to the right side. So now you have kind of this funny zigzag shape with your legs. Stay here if this is enough. If you're like, whoo, my hips are not trying to move that way today, that's totally okay. And to be expected as someone who stands for a living, if you're gonna accumulate a lot of compression in this part of your body. So if this feels a little intense, just be sure to stay with your breath. I would encourage inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth to release extra heat and extra intensity, okay? So option to stay here, or you can start to lean forwards. Now, if your hips and booty are lifting way up off the mat, then you want to back off a little bit. But if you can keep the hips pretty grounded and still lean forwards, keep that front knee pressing down, then play around with that. You could also do pulses, leaning a little bit forwards, and then moving away. So you're sort of leaning into intensity, flirting with that feeling, and backing away, allowing some fresh oxygen to circulate through, moving forwards and back. We've got a few more breaths here, choosing whatever makes sense to you, what feels good this morning, or whatever time it is that you're doing this. Remember, every time you inhale, you create more space. You increase your capacity for receiving. Every time you exhale, you give a little bit more of the energy that you've created inside, that warmth, that lovingness. That is that divine give and take. Now coming back up to a neutral spine, we're going to take a twist. So moving towards that front leg, the right hand comes behind you. And if it feels okay, you can turn your chin all the way over the right shoulder. Do your best to keep a nice long spine here. So instead of kind of leaning back and slouching into this, it's as though you literally just spiraled the rib cage and everything else stays the same. Stay here if this is challenging enough, or if this just feels really good and you know this is what your body needs, take it. We're going to move into a deeper version of this, which will stretch out the front of your left thigh and your left hip. So you can keep that right hand behind you, press into it, press into the legs, lift the hips up off the mat or off the floor. Reach that left arm up over your head. Breathe. 2 deep breaths here. And gently start to bring the hips back down. Unraveling, completely unraveling wherever you are. Come back to the center. Take some windshield wipers with the knees again to shake that out. You can take a lion's breath whenever you'd like to. Inhaling through the nose. Sticking the tongue out. And we'll move to the other side. So both knees drop to the left this time. Take a minute to position yourself in a way that feels comfortable and sustainable, a position that you can stay in. Again, you have options. You can stay upright just like this, using the left hand to gently press that front knee and thigh down onto the mat or onto your floor, wherever you are. You could start to lean forward, see how that feels. You could lean forwards and then back also, those pulses. So choose what feels good on this side. It does not have to be the same on both sides. Listen to your body and breathe. And gently lifting yourself back up. We're going to move into that twist. So this time turning towards the left. The left hand comes behind you. You can use that front hand, your right hand, to press the front thigh down. And stay here. Turn the chin all the way over the left shoulder if that feels good. And breathe. Stay here and rest, or we're going to move into that next level hip stretch, hip opener. I like to call it wild thing. You're going to press into that left hand, press into the legs really as well, and lift your hips up off of the floor. Right arm reaches up over your head. And breathe. We've got 3 big breaths. And gently bring the hips back down. The right hand comes back down, unravel, come all the way back to center. Take some windshield wipers with the legs. Shake that out, a lion's breath if it feels good. And we're going to come into another seated shape with the soles of the feet together this time. So knees open, feet together. Bring your hands to you could bring your hands to your shins, or you could bring them to the ankles. I like to kind of like clasp my toes. And then just fold forwards as far as feels comfortable for you. Also completely acceptable to stay upright. Play with this feeling. Keep the eyes closed. You could even tuck the chin just gently and play with keeping a nice long spine and having the stretch come through the neck only. So leaning forwards as much as feels comfortable or not, kind of backing away. Listen to your body, do what feels good, but stay curious about the sensations because it can be really interesting to see how just tucking the chin slightly with the spine positioned forwards over the hips, you can sometimes feel the sensation all the way down your back. And that can be really surprising, but it really lets you know how interconnected everything about you is. So it makes sense then that, of course, every time I breathe, I create space for me and I create space for everyone else too. Everything about me is so interconnected, and I'm so interconnected with everyone else too. It's when we get into these really deep shapes where we can learn these things about ourselves that starts to teach us about the world around us as well. It can be really, really profound, really interesting. And slowly start to lift yourself back up. Now that you're nice and warm and stretched out, we're going to finally move into our peak pose for this class, which is fish pose. So you're going to grab your folded up blanket, towel, pillow, whatever you have, and put it all the way at the edge of your space. If you have a yoga mat to use for measuring, you want to put it all the way at the very, very top of the yoga mat. You're going to come to sit right in front of it. Now, there are a bunch of variations for this. You may want to have the soles of your feet flat. Bring your hands behind you first, and then slowly lower yourself onto your prop. That's one option. I think for getting down there, that's definitely the best way to do it. But once you're down there, you may want to lengthen the legs, have some opening through the front of the hips. Traditionally, this is done with legs crossed, which is called lotus pose. So you would have one thigh on top, and then you would bring the other thigh on top of that one, and then you lean back. I personally, my body is not trying to do that right now while pregnant, so I will not demonstrate the fullness of that, but you get the gist. If you're able to wrap the legs like this, that is an option for you to play with. Two other options to keep in mind as you make your way down there. You can have your entire head supported by this pillow or blanket, whatever you're using, and then whatever part of your chest fits on there too, or whatever other part of your spine fits on this too. Often it's head and neck, and like half of the rib cage can fit here. Or you can lean further so that your head is off the pillow and you have this stretch through the neck. So your head is kind of on the floor, but your back and chest are lifted. You have more of this, more full arch. Traditionally, you would have the full arch, crown of the head is down on the floor, and then the legs crossed. And that's really a lot. That's very advanced for, I think, where we're at with this. I'm going to choose to keep my head supported by the prop and as much of my rib cage as can fit on this, and that's it. So now that you've got a bunch of options, you can choose what feels good, what feels challenging, what feels restful, whatever makes sense to you today. Get down on there, and then the arms. You might just bring them hands on the belly if that feels good and supportive. Hands planted on the floor beside you, like just arms down by your sides, palms face down. Or if you want even more opening across the chest, open the arms out to the sides, elbows bent like cactus arms. Choosing whatever feels good. Focusing on your breath as you rest here. Noticing the belly expand and lift up into the space, up towards the ceiling or towards the sky. Feeling yourself expand and moving more of you into the space, into the room around you. And every time you exhale, can you notice yourself getting heavier, feeling even more supported by the floor, the earth, the props beneath you? Almost as though The ground under you is lifting up to support you, rather than you laying yourself down and coming to it. Think about the floor reaching up to just to support you. And start to bring the soles of your feet flat to the mat if they are not there already. You're going to drop both knees to the left side and roll yourself over so you come into a little fetal position. You can use the top of your left arm to support your head for a moment and pause here as long as feels good if that's what you need. You could also, if you're ready to move on, grab that pillow or blanket from behind you, get that out of your way. Roll back over so that you're totally flat on your back, and right away start to notice how different that feels to be laying with your whole spine flat rather than with that arch. Drop the knees to the left for a moment. Open the right arm to the right side. The left hand comes to the belly, and turn your head to the right for a gentle twist. Two more full breaths here. And when you're ready, bringing the knees up through center, switching sides. Both knees drop to the right. Left arm comes out to the left side. Right hand is on the belly. And breathe. Just sort of holding yourself here as a gesture to let yourself know that you did it. You're safe. You're here. You are right here in this present moment. You have everything you need. Two more big breaths. And coming back to center. Couple of options here. You might decide to hug the knees into the chest, squeeze them tight, give yourself a little rock and roll from side to side. Notice how the hips are feeling. Maybe things have shifted around a little bit. If you'd like to open the hips a little bit more for one last time, maybe you take a happy baby, reaching the hands between the knees, but grab the outsides of your feet. And then separating the feet from each other. Imagine that you're pulling your knees down towards your armpits. At the same time, you're sort of kicking the feet out into your hands. And you can sort of lengthen one leg and then the other. Sometimes it feels good to lengthen both legs at the same time. You can also just sort of roll yourself around. Let this feel really good. Take a lion's breath here, if you need or want to. And eventually making your way all the way into Shavasana, your final resting pose. So the legs reach long, the arms reach down by your sides, palms face up for this one. Nice long spine. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale. Two more just like that to seal off this practice. Inhale. Sigh it out. Last one. Closing the eyes here if they're not already. Inhale through your nose. And sigh it out. I encourage you to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you need or as long as you have time for. Really allow the effects of this practice to start to sink in and be integrated. I thank you so much for trusting me to lead you through this January yoga challenge, moving you towards fish pose, opening the neck and chest, and ultimately keeping you open to the divinity that exists around you so that you may co-create your reality and manifest all of your dreams, all of your hopes and desires, right? I will be teaching a super juicy restorative yoga session similar to this one in person in New York City. This is going to be happening in February. If you'd like more information about that, the link is in the description to this video. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, comment, let me know how it went. I'm here for you. I love hearing from you, and I will let you get your rest and see you next time. Thanks again. Mwah.